Welcome back to our final installation. I think this is our fifth unit on this group here. On this unit, rather, is fifth edition on this unit. We are going to fill in and do some shadows. We're going to fill in the body beading, which is pretty complicated. I'm going to try to ease that up by making a repeat, and then we're going to do some shadows, and we're done. So let's go to it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our original bluish bead over here. So we're just going to grab him. This one's a little bit big, so let's get him down, down, down. And we're going to make a repeat. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger to make things easier for ourselves. Let's go and let's go up to like 300%. And what we're going to do is a repeat is a square that matches on all sides so that you can line them up and it looks like a nice pattern. And that's a textile concept as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a square using these on the sides and on the top, and then we're going to randomly fill in the middle part, because as you can see, the beads, they're put on by hand. They're not exactly all aligned. They are kind of moving this way and that way. So we want it to have that look. We don't want to look like computerized, like every bead is exactly on top of each other, but they're kind of like randomly scattered a little bit. Of course, doing that in a repeat is a pain unless you try something like this, or you're a textile designer and you have a lot of time to do it. Okay, so let's go. So first we're going to copy it. We're going to copy it about, copy about 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to, we're going to grab them. They just look a little bit there. Okay, let's see. There's one. You might remember, we did this and it was kind of, that's interesting. I see something's going on here. Okay, so I see this wasn't grouped, so let me get rid of these that we did. And let's get rid of that, and that, and that, and that. Oh boy. All right. Made a little mistake there. So let's first grab our original bead and group it. Okay, mistakes happen, so we're going to copy and paste, 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 paste. Okay, so we got a few in there. I'm going to put these like this. 1, 2, has that little glint to it. Hopefully it'll look nice when we put it finally together. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I want these to be aligned because, let's zoom in a little bit more, because it is going to be a repeat. We want it to be as closely aligned as possible so it doesn't look weird when we throw it into our swatch box, hopefully as a good repeat. Okay, so now they don't have to be perfect, because even beads themselves are going to be, even this could be fine. So what I'm going to do to make my life easier is I'm just going to grab all these and then just copy and paste them and put them down like this. Now I'm going to just eyeball about a half. Okay, what I want to do is I want to grab some guides here and make sure that we're pretty good. Okay, we're pretty good. Okay, so let me grab everybody again. I'm going to tweak it out a little bit. Make sure that they're closely aligned, because this is what's going to give our pattern repeat their proximity and make it look like a repeat and not like some bunch of random things that don't match up together. If you ever tried to do a repeat that doesn't match, you know what I mean. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to flip this at around the 90-degree angle. Nope. Here we go. Let's do that. Okay, so hopefully this is going to pay off. Okay, so there. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to crop this. So what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to push this up here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to erase this and I'm going to just group everybody. Make my life a little bit easier. Individually, each one, I'm going to say group, object group. I'm going to push it up a little bit like that. So it's more of a square, not such a rectangle. And then I'm going to do this one as well separately and say object group. Okay, now I'm going to grab both of them and hopefully it'll align enough for our purposes. You're wondering, what is she doing? Okay, you'll see soon enough. There's a method to the madness. So we're going to take this to a 90-degree angle, and we're making this box that's going to house our, and again, it doesn't have to be exact, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close enough. Okay, so good. I'm going to move this up a touch. If it overlaps a little, it's fine. Okay, then I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to push this where we can have a box here. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this one. Oh, wait a minute. First, I'm going to get rid of grouping. Actually, I could just use my direct select tool and get rid of this here, and I'm going to get rid of him, and that's fine. I don't need to do anything there. Get rid of that. Okay, so now we have our little box. That's where our repeat is going to live, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to grab him. Actually, let me just ungroup this that now that I don't need it. I'm gonna say object. Actually, let me just go here. Grab, and then I'm going to ungroup. Now I'm going to have some fun. I'm gonna grab each one of these fellas and say copy paste, and then I'm gonna turn it a little bit, and I'm going to make a random pattern of beads. Copy paste everywhere, just all over the place. Copy paste. Put a bunch of them randomly scattered and just plop them around, copy paste, and just like all over the place. And then I'm going to turn it again, over here better, copy paste. All right, my copy paste thing is like lagging, but whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to say copy paste. Okay, again, and I'm going to put him over here, and this time I'm going to turn him a little bit more. And I'm going to move them over. I'm going to start to like close spots, just there. Actually, just try to give yourself room enough to stick beads randomly everywhere. And copy paste again. Anywhere you think you can stick him that goes away. You can also overlap beads a little bit because beads aren't perfect. So they can mush into each other. But not too much because they are solid objects. Okay, so wherever you think you can like ram one in that makes sense, do it. Like there, for example. Okay, and any spot like here, you want to make sure that you move it in close enough so that there's not a huge amount of space in where you're going to put the beads. Okay, so now I'm going to do another copy paste. And I'm going to put him over here, maybe there. Okay. Okay. We'll start to accommodate them more. Okay, so I'm going to do copy paste again. And now I'm going to turn it again. I'm going to put this one. I want to fit it up here. So I'm going to turn it a little bit and just shove him in there. Okay, there. Okay. Copy paste. And we're going to stick him over here because I think he fits. All right. Okay, so like I said, wherever you see a spot, you just move them over. Okay. Okay, so we're looking good, I think. Let's try this one. I think I'm going to move them a little bit more like that and just stick them a little bit more. Okay. Okay, now we're getting someplace. Now, copy paste again. Soon we're going to have to start to like manipulate the beads so that they, it's like a bunch of Tic Tacs, doesn't it? Manipulate the beads so that there's not a lot of space in between them. Also, this is going to be like really reduced in size, so we're not that worried about too many holes, although I am going to color the background a darker color because obviously the beads, even though they're small and teeny and translucent, they are going to cast some kind of a shadow. So we want to make sure that that is obvious. So let me turn this guy a little bit. Let's stick him in there. Boop. Okay. So now we're starting to get a more random kind of a feel, which is great. Okay. Paste again. There. Now, wherever you see that the beads are like getting a little too on top of each other, move them up. Okay. All right, let me grab him and see if I can shove him. Okay. Now, another thing you can do, which is cheating, but not really, is to shrink things. because beads actually are, you know, crafty kind of a thing. They're made in such a way that not all of them are the same size either. Whoa, how did that happen? Okay. Copy paste, and I'm going to flip this guy around a little bit because I want the beads to be some of them this way, some of them that way. There. Copy paste. Maybe I'll be able to stick him over here next to this guy. Okay, remember you can shrink things and twirl them. There. Okay, I'm going to shrink you again. I think you just need to be shrunken a little bit. Okay, so now we're getting someplace. Not quite sure where, but that's okay. Let's turn him around a little bit. I want to get rid of that big triangle over there and just kind of like plop him in there. Okay, let me see if I can just copy paste him again and put him underneath. Okay, now we're going to grab him. And I'm going to grab him and say, ooh, I'm going to shrink you a teensy bit. Okay, there. Okay, so he's big enough to just be moved over. Okay, and you are going this way. Okay, so now we are getting into, I'm gonna elongate you, dude. I'm gonna go down. Okay, we're getting into a beaded pattern, which is great. Okay, let's just grab you and maybe move you down. Copy paste you up here, and then I'm gonna put him over here, and I'm gonna shrink a dink, 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 dink. Let me see how much I can shrink you without looking too weird. The one over is also going to get shrunken. Okay. Now, I think I want to elongate him. Let's elongate him there. Okay, good. Okay, so here, I'm going to grab this one. I think he'll fit on top here. Very good. Now you can look at the original pattern and you'll see that some beads actually aren't the same shape, and there's plenty of room between some beads, which is like can happen because they're just randomly sewn on. Okay, so last one. Okay, here, we're gonna stick you over here, and let's go ahead. Okay, all right, I think we're okay. So now, except for this guy, I don't like him. He's like maybe twist you a little bit. Maybe twisty. Okay. Okay, there's some spots here that are big, but then again, if we look at the original actual beading, you'll see there are spots in between, like here and here, that the beads are just separated. Okay, so now we're going to proceed to make our pattern. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select all, get everybody together. Yay! Oh, I made a mistake. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of him. I don't need you. Thank you. And I don't need you either. Okay. So I'm going to just do the same thing I did before. I'm going to grab everybody together and I'm going to group everybody. Object, group. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this for complex art because we want to keep our details nice. I'm going to say, okay, it's flat, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, very good. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the whole thing. Again, let me grab the whole thing again. Yay. And we're going to say crop image. Okay, now we need to crop this image so that it becomes a, something happened here. All right, okay, let's see what happened. Okay, somehow the flattening divided it in two. Not sure how that happened, so I'm gonna Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so I'm gonna grab everybody again. It's always good to make mistakes because then you figure out how to fix them. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to grab everybody again, and I'm going to try to actually reduce the size of this and see if that helps. Sometimes you get like these idiosyncratic problems with your computer. As we shrink, it'll also give us an idea what it's going to look like as a pattern, which is great. Okay, I think it's looking like a bunch of little gray potatoes. Actually, it does look kind of like beads now. Okay, back. All right, let's get up close and personal. We're going to grab everybody one more. Actually, I want to get rid of this guide. Okay, we're going to grab everybody one more time. And then we're going to say flatten for complex art. Okay. All right, now it's all as one. Fantastic. I hope it works. Now we're going to go even closer. We're going to go there. And we're going to say crop image. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am centering my pattern, which I want to be as a repeat, on the center of the little border of beads that we started with, that little box of beads. And that is going to be our repeat. When we stick them together, they will hopefully form beads. Okay, so now I've done that. I'm going to crop this. And, what happened there? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, never mind. I never saw that happen before, but fine. So let's see. I am going to see if I can get rid of those little doohickeys. I have, like, interesting problems with my Photoshop lately. Okay, let's just get rid of those. Let's get rid of, okay, let's get rid of you. We want to get rid of everything that's going to interfere with our pattern. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this little guy is completely square. So we're going to do this. And we're going to see about, yeah. So what we need to do is the, okay, so the height is a little bit higher. We want to make the height a little bit, we want the height to be like a teensy bit perfect. Okay. Okay, I think that's working. Can squeeze it a little. It's not going to make much of a difference. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so let's see if we can actually put this as a pattern in here. It might not work. Let's go see. It did. Okay, I'm not sure how it looks because I'm seeing a lot of things on it that may or may not work in terms of our purposes. So let's see. We're going to zoom out and we're going to try to put our pattern. It actually looks very nice far off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my direct select tool and I'm going to go and grab all the body part of, oh, actually it's coming all in out one piece. So it's going to look pretty interesting pretty quickly. So let's hit that button and see what happens. Oh boy, it's going to take a while. Okay, so I'm seeing lots of beads. They're actually smaller than I first thought, but it looks like a beaded pattern, which is great. I also did a previous one. You want to see that one? I did a test run on it. This one is a little different. It's the same technique. Wow, you see, actually, no, this was the wrong one. This was, I did it, was this one. Let's see. This one I did before, and it's also a random pattern, and it's the same thing. It's done with a little square that is kind of coupled together. So either one of these is good. This one, let's use this one. What we're going to do is we're going to go down, like, I don't know, 50%. Okay, let's go down to 50%, and we're only doing transform patterns. So I'm unclicking the transform objects, and we're going. See what that looks like. Give it a minute to think about it, because it has to. Okay, so I think I like it. Let's see. Let's do all the pieces so we have a full effect. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go down even more. I think I want to go down another, let's go down 80% of that, because I think it looks still a little bit too big against the other beads. So let's go down a little bit more. Ta-da! Okay, we have a beaded bag. Very nice. So let's grab, remember, you can do the pattern several times and see how that works. Let's go and take an eyedropper here, and we're going to fill in spots. Like, for example, here's another spot that we need to fill in. And we're just going to eyedrop that in there. Okay, we're doing great. So here's another little one that I just saw. Okay, this got to zoom in there. Remember, don't leave any spots. Check your work very well. And there. So there you go. If you want it to look darker in the back, you can always start out with a gray background, and then, which is probably a smart thing to do. Let me see. Let's go back to 100%. And let's look at it. Right now, it looks like a bunch of like pills or something. I don't know. Or eyeballs. Okay, so now we have our bag in a bluish tone. The original does have some bluish shades depending on the lighting. Like for example, you could see it here more. Sometimes in some light it looks yellowish. Phenomenon called metamerism, which is very annoying to colorists, but okay. So you could leave it like this. It looks very flat, but it has a general idea of what it is, and the factory will understand what you want, especially if you send photographs along with it. Um, the next thing you're going to do is, if you want to add shading, that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to grab my pen tool, and I am going to make a shape that I think will echo where shadows might want to fall. So the first one I'm going to layer it, do 2 layers. I'm not going to do a huge amount of layers. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to do it here first because this area is going to be deeply shadowed because it's a crease that goes into the bag. So I have my pen tool. Let's go ahead. Let's go for it. Doesn't have to be exact, just because it's going to be faded out with, okay, there you go. That's interesting. It went over on the same color. That's fine. So let's go to our fades. I'm going to say fade, and I'm going to try something like that. Okay, that's not bad. I think I want to turn the shade. First, let's try changing the angle of the shade. We'll put it on the other side. No, it's not doing what I thought it would do. So let's give it an angle this way. Let's see, 45-degree angle. Maybe more of a 90-degree angle. I said 90, not 60. Okay. There. Okay, so now it's going more into where we want it to go. Here, we're going to pull this out here because that's going there. And it's giving us like a shade into the bag. It still should be darker on top, so maybe what I'm going to try to do is put it on a heavier one and see what happens. No, that's not doing it either. Although what I could do is put a middle one. No, that's not it. Let's do the back to what it was. And then I'm going to go down on the opacity a little bit because it's a little too aggressively dark there. I think that works. Okay, 70%. Now the next thing we're going to do is a little bit more shadows, but we're going to do the shadows on the body of the bag. So that's going to add some depth to this. So let's go back to our pen tool. And let's go back up. Okay. When you look at this and like, this looks terrible, it's like, it doesn't really look terrible. It's just because you are very close to what you're working with. So I think I'm going to start my shadow going this way all around the bag, under the bottom, curving around here, and then towards the clasp, around the clasp, and back up. So let's see how that works. So let's go here, and here, and here. It could be a little tedious, but it's not as bad as you think. Once you get done, you're like, oh, that looks nice, especially when you go from like 1,200% zoom, to magnification to not 100. And then it's like, oh, wow, it really looks different. I'm like, yep, it looks very different. It's kind of like looking directly at a pointillist painting and then all of a sudden coming around and seeing it in a different light, completely like, oh, like looking at a Seurat painting with your nose to it, only saying, all I see is a bunch of dots. I'm like, yeah, stand back about 20 feet away and then you will be amazed. Okay, so we're getting there. I think I'm going to go up till about here. Yeah, this is all obviously intuitive, and you might have great intuition. Even if you don't, eventually you will get great intuition from experience. People I don't know why they downplay experience so much, but it's a wonderful asset. Okay. Yes. Gray hairs do come with all sorts of health problems, but they also come with experience, especially if you keep plying your trade. Okay. Now I'm like, ew, that's a weird looking wavy thing. What is she doing? Okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to go around this this claspy thing. Actually, that should have been more of a curve. Okay. Okay, so let's go to our next spot. All right. Yeah, as you get a heavier laden thing, you might want to at the end obviously rasterize stuff. So okay, and flatten things so that eventually. Now I'm going to go around the beads around like this because they're kind of curved. Okay, we're almost ready now. Okay. Okay, I'm going to grab this handle, and now I need to find the original spot where we started. Somehow moved. Not sure how that happened, but yeah, it started over here. All right, I don't know what happened with that. Okay, just give yourself some room. Okay. If things needs to be moved later, you can always adjust them. Just get the primary idea in. Okay. Huh. How'd that happen? All right, I don't know. Okay. Now it's going to think about it. We're almost there. And then what we'll do is we can manipulate. Once we have the shadow in there, we can manipulate it. So it's not a big deal. Okay, there. Okay, so we have where the areas of shadowing that we want in, which right now looks like a crescent. It's like, what the heck is that? But no fear. First, we're going to fix any problem areas that we might have cropped up. Like here, for example, there's this little tail over here that's not covered. Okay. So now it's going to think about it and it's going to cover it. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to opacity and see if we actually like the way this looks. It's not terrible, but I think we could probably use less of a shadow. Let's go to a little bit lighter one. Okay, that looks okay. We're lowering the shadow. I think though, I want a flatter shadow altogether. I'm just going to go with the light. I'm going to go to the dark gray, actually. Let the whole thing be gray. And then I will graduate. Wow. I'm going to take the opacity down a whole lot. I'm going to go down all the way to like 15% and see what that looks like. Around our clasp and everything. That's thinking about it. Okay, that is more in keeping what I was hoping for. Let's go to 100% magnification. And we'll take a look at it. We might almost be done. All right, let's get rid of that. Okay. Wow. Okay, so now we have an idea of our shadow. I think I'm going to take it even lower. I think I want to go down to like 10% and see how that looks. Okay. Okay, we'll get rid of our little line over there. Wow. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. You have finished a beautiful beaded bag. And it is accurate enough to send to a factory, which is what we were doing because this is product development. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you subscribe and give me your comments. Okay. See you around. Bye.